Hello everyone, welcome to my session on creating a PRD. I am Raja Mukesh and I have substantial experience in the product management space, and today I will be talking about creating a PRD in this session. So what will we be covering? We will cover what exactly is a PRD and why is it important. I will walk you through an ideal template of a tech PRD, basically the product requirements document for a technology product with an actual example. We will also talk a little bit about how to write an effective PRD, tips on it, and finally some of the major pitfalls that could cause someone to write a PRD that's not very effective. So what is a PRD and why is it important? A product requirements document describes the product you or your company is building and is one of the single most important document that drives the effort right from the product team to the engineering to sales and marketing. A PRD clearly and unambiguously articulates the product's purpose, features, functionality, and behavior. And this specification is needed by various teams, right? By the engineering team to build it, by the testing team to test it, and finally the operations team if you have to operationalize it, for example, like an e-commerce product, and definitely the marketing and other teams that are needed to make the product a success. And you can use multiple channels, right? Why a PRD? I can actually just communicate through mails. The problem is if a PRD is not done well, right, and use any of these broken communication channels, it's almost nearly impossible for good product to result. A PRD, in fact, is the single most important written product communication that brings together all the teams and stays even after the original team has left. A lot of time, the product that a product manager gets to work on or a product that various teams get to work on may not even be the same team that worked on the initial product. And this PRD is the document that kind of answers all the questions around the context, why a feature was built, right? What is the thought process behind it for the new teams? And in fact is the beginning of the conversion from the conception of the idea to turning it into a reality. So let's take a look at an ideal PRD template. You can pretty much use, there are a lot of templates out there. This is an ideal template that a lot of organizations use. Of course, there could be some customizations to it based on a particular organization's needs, right? But by and large, this talks about all the important components that a PRD should have. The first component is basically the why part. You define the product purpose or objective. What exactly is the problem or opportunity that you're trying to solve for? Who is this product for? Your customers, if there are any user flows, the value proposition for them, and more importantly, why it's important. Why are you building it now, right? How it fits into your overall product or organization strategy. The impact, the business case, all of that comes in this section. For example, if let us say you are coming up with a new product to solve for a customer problem, you may still want to get the buy-in or funding from the leadership. And this is the section that answers the questions that the leadership may have. You could have had a separate document to detail out the business case. Maybe it's a presentation. You can just link it here so that anyone who looks at the PRD knows the context, right? The reason why the PRD even exists. So what I will do is I will take a very simple product, right? So that it's easy to understand what each of this section is for. Assume that I am an e-commerce site and I want to simplify my user sign-in experience. There's a current user sign-in experience. Before they purchase, let us say they have to sign in and I want to simplify it. So in the first, define the product purpose. I tell that it's simplifying user sign-in experience. And why is it important? Because it affects users coming back and using the product. I can put a number to it. I can say that the drop-off percentage is XX. Maybe it's 10%, 20%. A little bit more detail on my product customer. Users are not tech savvy. So which also gives a context on how the PRD is going to flow, right? The next section is the competitive analysis. Again, it may depend on the product you are working on. For the example that I have taken, there is no competitive analysis needed because we are not really doing this based on competition's features, but we are just building this because the user sign-in experience is currently bad, leading to eye drop-off. But maybe let us say you are building a feature, right? Faster delivery for your company, which is an e-commerce company, and let us say you have a competitor. You want to do a competitive analysis to make sure what you are doing stands out more differentiated with respect to the competition. And this is the section. The third component of your PRD is the success metric. Even before you start building the product, you have to clearly articulate what are the success metrics, right? So that anyone knows, right, unambiguously that, hey, if these metrics are it, we can call this product a success. Wherever it's possible to quantify it, do quantify it. I have not put a number to it, but essentially the success metrics for the product that I have taken is customer satisfaction score increase, because now the sign-in experience should be better. 2, because it's better, the sign-in page drop-off should go down, which is the initial problem that caused us to even consider this product. The next component talks about the assumptions that you have. You could have some assumptions or some specific information about your users. There could be some technical constraints or business goals that will decide how your product is built. You want to state that here. For example, one of the factors is that the users are non-tech savvy, right? I can make sure that that is also added here. A technical constraint could be that, for example, right, let us say you are building an app and you have a constraint that you can't really build it for the iOS platform because of some either a business reason, like your users don't exist on that platform, or it could be a technical reason that you don't have a technical team right now to do it. So you can state that out here so that people know why it was not built at that point in time. And whenever that scenario changes, maybe an iOS version can be built. Or there could be a particular technical constraint like a maximum of 1 million users can be supported by the sign-in system before the technical constraints will allow it to be re-architected, so that you have to redo it from a systems perspective. So all these constraints could exist here, whether it's about the users, about the business, about the technology that is being used, so that people know when they are going through this PRD, right, even later, or when they are actually using the product much later, why something was done the way it was done. The next step is the options considered. You don't have to detail out all the options, but it is very important for you to list out the various options that you can consider for this particular problem, and then a cost benefit analysis or a pro and con analysis, so that there is a logical flow to why the option that you are considering to be built has been chosen. For example, when I'm redoing the sign-in experience, I can consider 2 options. One, I can use a Google login so that users can just use it and sign in using Google. Or 2, I can do my own sign-in page with my own technology. Now the pros of the Google sign-in is, of course, it's faster, right? And it's easier to implement. The downside is maybe there is a cost factor to it, because as the number of users increases for my platform, I may have to pay so much amount to Google. Or 2, there could be the constraint that I don't really want that login, or I cannot just have just Google. I may have to integrate with other sign-in systems, because not all users may have the Google sign-in already. So based on these cons, considering that I am a massive e-commerce site, I go ahead with designing my own sign-in page. Likewise, for your particular scenario, right, you would want to, at an eye level, look at various options you can consider and the cost benefit or the pro con for each of these options before you decide on an option. The next section is the meaty chunk of your PRD, the features of the product. This is where you detail the solution, explaining the core capabilities. Be as detailed as possible, because this really tells how the product has to be built, right? The what is this section. For example, I may even detail out information like single click option is visible at the top of the page with help right next to it, right? You will have to provide your wireframes and designs, right? If there are specific use cases, like for example, there is an help option, right? Like my example, right next to the single click option, right? What happens if the user enters the wrong username or password, right? So all those specific use cases are basically the scenarios that an user is going to use or interact with the product has to be detailed out here. So that, when you're developing the product, the person who's developing it, the engineer, understands in detail and is able to implement the solution. You also talk about any data that needs to be recorded. For example, when you want to measure the success of the product, right, you need to have all that information available in the system's database. Only then the person analyzing it can pull it out and analyze it. For example, for the sign-in example that I'm talking about, time user spends in sign-in page, the number of users who drop off from the sign-in page are all data points that needs to be recorded. So maybe in a table, we'll be pushing every time a user spends sign-in page, right? Maybe the timestamps so that we know that how much time it takes for him before he moves from the sign-in page to the next page. We can also record the user, what percentage of users are actually going to the next page and who are dropping off, right? I may record all the raw data, at least here that's what I'm detailing, so that when I'm measuring it, I'll be able to measure the metrics that I want. The next section is essentially the milestones section. If your product has multiple phases, you list it out here. For example, let us say for the same feature, right, I have a plan to launch it in 3 languages, considering my market. In my phase 1, it may be just for English. In phase 2, it could be in second language. And in phase 3, it could be a third language. Then I'll clearly list out what are the milestones and by when I plan to achieve each of those milestones. Where milestone 1 is launching it in language 1, 2 is launching it in language 2, and the third milestone is launching it in language 3. Each of them constituting a phase. Or it could be something different, like the first phase could be a minimum viable product. The second phase could be based on the outcome of the first phase, which is the MVP. Adding the other features that you plan to do but wanted to wait for the MVP's data. The next section in your PRD is the release criteria. This is where you add the key input and output metrics. Metrics around reliability and performance metrics. For example, my sign-in page should fail not more than 0.01% of the times, right? It should be highly reliable. It should take less than 1 millisecond to proceed to the next page. The second someone enters the username and password and clicks that button, right, it should quickly go to the next page in less than 1 millisecond. I want 1 million simultaneous sign-ins support for this product. And one of the user acceptance criteria that the test team has to ensure is that if I'm able to quickly do a small blind test with some users or internal dog fooding, the users should be able to find the sign-in option and enter the signed page in less than 3 seconds on average. The reason why you're listing it out in the PRD is so that there is no ambiguity. You don't want to have a scenario where the product is not built for scale simply because someone did not know that we would actually have a business case where 1 million simultaneous sign-ins can happen. Nor do you want to have a scenario where, right, your market has a lot of high performance products and you need to have high performance for your website also or e-commerce site also, and someone who is building it did not really consider factor that in. So this way, whenever the testing is happening and even when engineering is planning, right, they decide on the technology used or the way they are going to go about solving this problem or building this product based on these specific release criteria. And these release criteria come based on your understanding of your market and your users. Your users are very time sensitive. They can't really wait for longer than 3 seconds. That's how the industry standard is. You're going to have this kind of scale considering your business. And you also know what is reliability and performance metrics. That is very critical for your user segment. Ensure release criteria is definitely there in your PRD. The next component is the final component. This is essentially your rollout plan or launch plan. Do remember that when you want to launch a feature, there are 2 components to it, right? One is your rollout plan but basically also some capabilities that will allow you to actually control the rollout itself according to your specific expectations. For example, let us say the control that I want is that through some config file, I want to control my rollout, and my plan is in the first week, I will release this feature to 5% of the users. In the second week, another 10%. In the third week, another 30%. And in the fourth week, the rest of the users. And I plan to do this so that I can measure the success for every part of this rollout every week. And I don't risk a scenario where, let us say, there was an unexpected bug or something that did not really, meet us eye and we missed it. And that is why you want to have this rollout plan. Now, this means that the system should have the capability to actually be launched in percentages to its users. So make sure that you clearly state out your rollout plan, as well as make sure that the capabilities needed to have this particular launch plan is built, which means you can add those either as part of your features or you can put it out here also in this section also. And the rollout plan is not just about the users, right? For example, in e-commerce, let us say we are coming up with a new delivery model, right? It's an e-commerce company, and let us say it's a new delivery model. For example, cash on delivery. Now, what happens in such a scenario is that cash on delivery is basically the customers can pay money for the purchased item when they are actually at their doorstep getting the product delivered to them. Now, when you launch a feature like this, it's not even about the users, right? There is some communication that has to be planned. The operations team has to plan because the delivery agents, right, have to be trained how to collect the money. There may be some other operational challenges like how do you get back the cash given by the customers safely, right? Do you have to make some changes to your warehouses, right? Some other additional processes like, checks to ensure that there is no fraud. So there could be multiple teams that may have to be involved in this, right? Training teams to train the delivery agents, the operation teams to plan the entire process. Some legal adherences could be needed, right? Because there is money involved. To make sure that all of these different parts of the picture falls into place, you need to clearly plan your rollout so that everyone can plan their steps accordingly based on this plan. So to recap quickly, you talk about the why of the product, the problem statement and the objective. If needed, you will talk about the competitor analysis. All right, let me go back quickly. You talk about the success metrics. You will talk about all the assumptions that you have made about your users, any specific technical constraints that exist, and specific assumptions that you have made about your business goals. Examples is you have only Android users today. You cannot really launch for an iOS platform, right? Or you cannot support more than, X million users simultaneously. All these are things that you have to state out here. Talk about the various options you have considered for this problem. And then finally, talk about the option that you have chosen in detail in the features of the product, where you detail out the solution. You have your use cases, your wireframes, any data that needs to be pushed into the DB database by the system that will allow you to measure the success. Or if, let us say, there's a problem in the product, right? Identify why that is being caused. You don't want to have a scenario where the product is launched and then you want to debug, hey, why is the drop off not decreasing, right? And figure out that the data that is needed to identify that is not really recorded, and then push that particular information to your DB in a quick fix. So to avoid that, make sure that you do proper planning. And once this section is completed, you can also add any capabilities needed to enable your particular launch plan here. Post that, you talk about your milestones, your release criteria, which talks about all the conditions that have to be met before the product can be released to the outside world. This becomes a check for the testing teams to know that they have to make sure that all of these have to beat. And finally, your rollout plan, so that all the teams can be planned. All the teams can plan accordingly. So how to write an effective PRD? Let us talk about some top points that you need to keep in your mind when you are writing an PRD. Do your homework, right? Ensure you do proper pre-work of understanding your customers, their use cases, the problem space, competition, and the constraints. Because without actually having a very clear understanding, most probably, while the PRD is just documentation at the end of the day, right? You can't really do a proper job of it. The content in that PRD is not going to be really good if you don't do the real job of understanding your customers, their problems, right? The competition and the constraints that exist within your technology teams and the operations teams. Define your product principles. This will help when trade-offs need to be made. Okay, let's take an example, right? Let us say I'm a matured company. For me, it's very clear that even more important than faster to market is making sure I build the right product. So which means that if, let us say, 3 weeks time to build the product, for example, but the product may have some known bugs versus 6 weeks, but very stable. If I was a matured company, I know my principle very clearly that it has to be a stable product because rather than being faster, being stable is most important for me. On the other hand, let us say I'm a startup, and for me being faster to the market is important because I can never be sure about the market. I don't really have a large customer base. So in which case, if let us say I have an option to make wherein I have to decide between 2 months stable product, 1 month faster to market, but some known issues, I would probably go with the 1 month known issues and then correct it along the way because that is faster to market. Maybe if design is important, I would focus on the design part, even though that is going to take more time, rather than the solution that will probably be really good, but not really well designed. So make sure you have your product principles so that when trade-offs have to be made, it's easier for you. Then prototype and test product concepts, including usability testing, before you actually kind of close out on your requirements. For example, if you have to have some assumptions, right, validate them in a way that does not need you to spend too much of effort or money before you fine tune the PRD. Also, if you can do a prototype testing, if you can try to do usability testing so that what is being put on the PRD has been tested for each of its components. After you have done all the above steps, you can put that into a written format according to the template, right? Because remember, the PRD is not written in a single sitting. You start with an inkling of an idea for the problem, right? And over a period of time, through multiple discussions with various stakeholders and through constant iterations where a lot of people will be contributing to it, through various steps like prototyping and usability testing, your PRD will be finally completed. And remember, a PRD tells what needs to be done, not how it needs to be done. So don't focus too much on the how part, right? What is the technology that has to be used, right? The mechanics, but focus on what needs to be done. Take an user's view so that you are balancing out the user's needs while the technology teams can take care of the technological needs. Finally, let's look at some of the pitfalls. Ensure your PRD is fully detailed and not exercise out of compulsion. Meaning, don't write the PRD because you are forced to or your organization asks, or that is a norm for the way how things work. Remember that the PRD is actually a benefit for the product manager because it allows him to put what is on his mind, right, in a single document, and it really removes any kind of questioning, right? Everything is out there on a piece of paper. So ensure your PRD is fully detailed. Spend that effort, it's worth it. Avoid freezing it without stakeholder review. Because a lot of times, right, a lot of pieces may fall into place only if various stakeholders come into the picture. For example, what you would have assumed about the operations part could be very different. For example, in the e-commerce world, let us say you are coming up with a feature that will affect your sellers. You may have assumed that you will launch it, but then the marketing and operations team or the seller team will tell you that, hey, this will take 3 months for the sellers to fully adopt, right? So you cannot really plan just like that. We need to do some groundwork for it. Maybe that will allow you to fine tune your timelines. Make sure you have a lot of stakeholder review. Maybe there is something that you have put which is not technically feasible at this point in time, and your technology leader or the engineering team can tell you, hey, this is not going to work for XYZ reasons, right? And then you can fine tune accordingly. So avoid freezing it without stakeholder review. And also, a lot of times a product may work in interaction with a lot of other products, right? Even this sign-in example that I gave, right? It's on a live product, and there are so many other components there. You want to make sure that this is not sticking out, right? It has to fit with the rest of the product. You and a designer, for example, cannot design a look and feel that is so out of place compared to the rest of the website. So obviously you will need a lot of stakeholder review. Focus on the what than the how, which is something that I occurred earlier. And also ensure proper usability testing is done and documented in PRD before building the product. Again, we talked about it. Why is this important? You don't want to have any surprises later on. And strike a balance and ensure requirements are neither too engineering driven or no customer driven. Because sometimes the customer may not really know what they need, and trying to take an engineering view will allow you to solve the problem in a much better way. Sometimes you have to tone down on it. Something just because it's technically superior doesn't mean it's superior for the customers. So try to strike a balance. And most importantly, ensure the objective is very clear. Because if your objective is not clear, what you will get will be a very muddled piece. So if I have to quickly summarize, do a lot of homework before you sit on your PRD. Remember, the PRD is not done in a single sitting. Make sure that you get the various components and keep writing or putting it in the PRD as you get more and more information, which would also involve a lot of stakeholder review. And once PRD is done, remember that this PRD has to be as detailed as possible because it is a document that exists as a communication channel across various stakeholders. And finally, ensure that you have not made any obvious pitfalls or mistakes, and then go ahead launching a very successful product that you can be proud of and happy that it has solved a customer problem. Thank you. So you could reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is B. Raja Mukesh Krishna, like I said earlier. I came with about 10 plus years experience in the product management space. I have worked in startups, larger organizations, B2B products, B2C products, front-end products, back-end products. So if I would be very happy if you want any questions answered by me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn and probably we can connect over there. All right. Thank you.